Right now on Morning News Now, the results are in, and former President Donald Trump is the decisive winner in New Hampshire, once again demonstrating his hold on the GOP. But his lone Republican rival, Nikki Haley, says she is not backing down.
New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over.
We have team coverage of the fallout from the nation's first primary and where the road to the White House goes from here. Breaking this morning, a Russian military transport plane has crashed near Ukraine. Russian officials say on board were dozens of Ukrainian prisoners of war. The new details just coming in. Also, for the first time, the parent of a school shooter goes on trial. The unprecedented court case and the impact it could have around the country. And it may not be the most wonderful time of the year, but it's certainly one of the most important. Tax season officially here. We're going to go one-on-one with an expert to help get organized and talk about what you need to know before you file. I know. Very exciting stuff, but we got to talk about it. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is on assignment here just with me this morning, and it's a big morning. It is the morning, of course, after the first in the nation primary. We're going to get started with the race for the White House. NBC News projects former President Trump has won the New Hampshire primary, further cementing his status as the GOP frontrunner as he looks ahead towards a likely rematch with President Biden this fall in the general election. Trump defeated his lone remaining rival, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who is vowing, though, to stay in the race. The victory makes Trump the first non-incumbent to win both the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary. Both campaigns held rallies last night and addressed their supporters after the results were announced.
Just a little note to Nikki. She's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already.
This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go. And the next one is my sweet state of South Carolina.
Meanwhile, on the Democratic side, President Biden defeated Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips to win New Hampshire. Despite not being on the ballot in the state, Biden's supporters organized a write-in campaign to defeat Phillips in his long-shot bid to win the nomination. Breaking it all down for us, we are joined by NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster. He is in Manchester, New Hampshire, and we've also got NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for being with us on a big morning, Shaq. I will start with you and start on the former president, his second straight victory to begin this primary season. Right. How was he able to come out on top again, and what do we hear from him?
Hi there, Savannah. Well, you were able to see Donald Trump maintain that coalition of support in this state that has delivered for him before. Remember, this was his first win back in 2020. You saw a coalition of self-described conservative voters, and you saw him able to keep enough of those swing voters in this state, especially where you have undeclareds who can participate legally in the primary. I want you to listen to a little bit of what we heard from the former president last night after that double-digit win.
This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night. We are going to win this. We have no choice. If we don't win, I think our country is finished. I do. I believe our country is finished. We have beaten Biden. You could almost say, who can't? Who the hell can't? The man can't put 2 sentences together.
Now, despite that big win, you saw Donald Trump overnight on the attack on social media, going after Nikki Haley, going after Democrats and independents, even going after his coverage on Fox News.
Shaq, let's now talk about Nikki Haley before I bring Mark in here. So, of course, as I mentioned, she says she's hanging in there. She said she wants to see more Americans have the ability to vote. What should we know about the state of her campaign as she tries to find a path forward? And also, by the way, I mean, we heard her there say, you know, her home sweet state of South Carolina, but she's not polling ahead of the former president there either. What's next for her?
Right. Well, she will be going to South Carolina, and you heard her make the argument that she essentially wants voters in other states and other parts of this country to have the opportunity to have their say. Listen to a little bit more of what we heard from her.
I've long called for mental competency tests for politicians over the age of 75. Trump claims he'd do better than me in one of those tests. Maybe he would. Maybe he wouldn't. I decided to run because I'm worried about the future of our country and because it's time to put the negativity and chaos behind us.
Now, she does have an uphill battle here. If you look at the calendar in Nevada, she won't be getting any delegates there. And when you look at South Carolina, she is behind by a significant margin in polling. But she does have time to do what she can to close that gap, Savannah.
Mark, let's bring you in now. Let's talk about some of the exit polling data from New Hampshire. What is standing out to you as this first in the nation primary is now behind us? And when we really think about who makes up the electorate in New Hampshire?
Yeah, Savannah, let's look at the coalitions that really back Donald Trump. He did very well with very conservative Republicans last night, as well as people who identify as Republican. He did well with those without college degrees and those with lower incomes, very similar to what we ended up seeing in Iowa. Conversely, we ended up seeing Nikki Haley do very well with moderates, with college graduates. And what really does stand out to me is just the overall electoral composition. 51% of those who participated in last night's Republican primary in New Hampshire identified as being a Republican versus 49% who said that they were either a Democrat or independent. As we go forward to South Carolina and remaining contests, that Republican percentage is going to be a whole lot higher than what we saw in New Hampshire last night.
And Mark, let's talk about a little bit of other news that came out last night. The Biden campaign announced a shakeup as two members of his team are going to move from the White House to top jobs in the campaign in this re-election bid. What should we know about that?
So what we ended up, you had two very well-known figures who are close to President Biden and in the White House, Mike Donnellan and Jennifer O'Malley Dillon, who is actually the campaign of Biden's 2020 presidential run, are going to Wilmington. And this is a shakeup, but it is worth noting that these are people who are very familiar with the Biden world, and that this is all an effort to start bolstering the Biden campaign before what's going to be a really long general election.
Mark Murray, Shaquille Brewster, thank you both very much for kicking us off on the big news this morning. We appreciate it. Well, court will resume on Thursday in former President Trump's civil defamation damages trial involving writer E. Jean Carroll. Now, Trump was expected to testify in court earlier this week, but the hearing was delayed due to COVID concerns. And then court was scheduled to resume today, but now has been pushed back again by a day. Meanwhile, in the election interference case led by special counsel Jack Smith, an appeals court in Washington has declined to rehear Trump's challenge to the gag order that was imposed on him. The order came after he made disparaging comments about the judge and prosecutors. Trump would need to bring his case to the Supreme Court in order to appeal the gag further. Now let's go to Michigan, where jury selection began yesterday in the criminal trial of the mother of Oxford high school shooter Ethan Crumbley. Jennifer Crumbley is facing 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter after her son killed 4 fellow students in the deadly November 2021 school shooting. In this unprecedented case, jurors will decide if a parent should be charged in connection with a mass shooting their child committed. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus explains.
Inside the Oakland County Courthouse, a first. A parent facing criminal charges for a mass shooting carried out by their child. Jennifer Crumbley on trial for her alleged role in the mass shooting her son, Ethan, committed in Oxford, Michigan in 2021. Her husband will be tried separately.
They are charged with involuntary manslaughter, claiming that they had a duty of ordinary care to protect against their son getting his hands on the weapon.
Prosecutors say Ethan Crumbley used a semi-automatic handgun bought by his dad as a gift days before the shooting to kill 4 classmates. They also say his parents overlooked warning signs pointing to a teacher who saw Crumbley searching for ammunition online days before the shooting. After the school called his parents to express concern, prosecutors say Jennifer sent Ethan a text saying, quote, LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught. Ethan Crumbley was sentenced to 5 life sentences without parole last month.
This will go to the
Vin Johnson represents families of several victims and says they want Ethan's parents held accountable.
Those parents sat in that room with the administrators and didn't tell them about the gun, didn't tell them about all the problems that this kid was having at home.
Do your clients feel this is a form of justice?
They do, yes.
And Jennifer Crumbley's attorneys have asked the judge to compel Ethan to testify in her trial. But lawyers representing Ethan say that's something they'll advise against.
All right, Adrian, thank you so much. Well, joining us now for more on this is NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. Danny, always great to have you with us. Thank you so much. So let's start on jury selection. Just walk us through kind of how that's going to look in a case like this, what you'll be watching out for.
Jury selection is going to be key in that you're looking to decide whether or not, do you want parents on this case? Do you want gun owners? Remember, you're in Michigan. Michigan is a state. I'm a Michigander. A lot of folks have firearms in the home in Michigan because they hunt a lot. So this is a culture that may have a rather understanding view that there are firearms in the home, and maybe they tend to think that parents aren't automatically responsible for anything that happens with a firearm if the kid takes the gun and leaves the house. So jury selection in a case like this is key, but at the same time, I've long believed that jury selection is a lot like astrology. You can come up with all these different theories, but there really isn't a whole lot of science behind it.
I like that. Let's talk about Ethan potentially testifying. So Jennifer Crumbley, his mother's attorneys, they have asked the judge to compel Ethan to testify. However, since he is appealing his sentence, right? Am I getting this right?
Exactly
his
right.
attorneys
well,
are...
he may be appealing his sentence.
Okay.
He doesn't know yet.
And his attorneys are saying, we don't think we want him to do that. I mean, that sounds like some tension there. I'm assuming that the mother wants him to be testifying because in some way that can help her case. Walk us through kind of both sides of this.
Easy analysis for Ethan's attorneys tell him not to testify under any circumstances because it could really damage any appellate rights that you have. As for Ethan himself, ultimately, the client, the defendant, someone has an absolute right to forego their Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. As for the parents, they want Ethan to testify because presumably he's going to get up there and say, hey, I did this all by myself. This was an independent act. They didn't know anything. That won't save the day for the defendants because the government's going to put on lots of evidence about all the warning signs. But, you know, in American law, we do have a concept that typically, parents are not automatically liable for the torts, the wrongdoings of their children, and we typically don't hold someone responsible for a completely independent act by another person. Now, however, this was someone who had access to the firearm and the parents gave him access to the firearm. This really could go either way. This is not a foregone conclusion. This is not an automatic conviction for the state here. This is going to be an uphill battle because there are a lot of different places to point the blame, including possibly school administrators. That's what the defense will do. I'm not saying that's where the blame lies, but they may point at school administrators. They may point at their own son. They may point at each other.
Yeah. Do you think that the fact that they asked to be tried separately is an indication of that or not necessarily?
It's hard to say. Early on, the parents seemed to put on a unified front. You may remember there was reporting that they were communicating with each other. But, you know, those things change after you sit in jail for a while. So just even as a trial strategy, not really how they feel, they may end up really blaming each other. And you can see how that would turn out. Maybe the wife would say, he ruled the house with an iron fist. I never wanted those firearms in there, although there are some text messages that tend to disprove that. And the father might take the same tack and say, hey, she was involved with the firearm. I barely knew we had firearms in the house. I mean, the evidence may contradict that, but look, they may adopt that strategy just for the trial. There's a lot of blame potentially that they could spread around and look for them to do that.
What exactly would prosecutors have to prove? I mean, I think just for anybody at home who's listening who's not a lawyer, you hear some of these, you know, pretty disturbing details about what it seems the parents knew. What is it, though, that would have to be proven in order for them to be held accountable for involuntary manslaughter as they've been charged with?
Involuntary manslaughter is an unintentional killing that results from what's called criminal negligence. And what that means is that the parents will have had to consciously disregarded an obvious risk. They wouldn't be just held automatically liable for anything awful the child does. That's why you're going to see a lot of evidence of warning signs. Warning signs equal what we call in the law notice. And if you have notice of a problem and you fail to do anything about it, then the state can possibly prove that you were reckless, that you disregarded a risk. And those risks were the behavior of their son, how he appeared to be dangerous. And of course, they're going to counter with, look, we did everything we could. We relied on the school. And we never thought, as troubled as we thought he was, we never thought he would do this.
Danny Ceballos, thank you very much. A tough one, unprecedented one. We appreciate you being here to walk us through it. Let's turn now to breaking news this morning. Russian authorities say that a military transport plane that was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war crashed near the Russia-Ukrainian border. The POWs were being transported along with 6 crew members and 3 others accompanying them on board. NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lubanga joins us now from Rome with the details so far that we have on this crash. Claudio, tell us what we do know at this point.
Good morning, Savannah. Well, let's start with what we know. According to a statement published by Russian state media, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed, as you mentioned, that a Russian military transport plane crashed in the region of Belgorod, which is close to the border with Ukraine. It also said that it was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war captured among the ranks of the Ukrainian armed forces, which were supposed to take part in a prisoners exchange. On the plane, there were also 6 crew members, and 3 other people. Now, according to the governor of the Belgorod region, no one survived the crash. Also, the ministry said that a special team was sent to the crash site to investigate the cause of the crash. But in the meantime, the chief of the defense committee in the Russian parliament accused Ukraine of shooting down the plane because he said that it was shot down by 3 air defense missiles of the type that are supplied to Ukraine by Western allies. Well, he has provided no proof of that, and NBC News has got no way to independently verify it right now. But this is a claim that, at least Ukraine's responsibility, is a claim that seems to be backed by the Russian Foreign Ministry for now. At least according to Reuters, the Russian Foreign Ministry said in the last hour that it was Ukraine's fault, and he called it an act of barbaric terrorism. Back to you, Savannah.
So, Claudio, if I may, before I let you go, just ask, how are Ukrainians responding at this point? You know that it seems to be their prisoners of war and potentially shot down by their missiles. How are they responding?
Well, Ukraine has not yet confirmed that it was Ukraine that shot down that plane, perhaps also because in the past, when Ukraine carried out attacks into Russian territories or into territories that are claimed by Russia, they were always followed by massive attacks in retaliation by Russian forces. Savannah.
All right, Claudio, thank you very much on this breaking news for us. Well, a torrential rainstorm in San Diego County earlier this week dropped more than 3 inches of rain over a 3-hour period. That storm led to massive flash flooding of up to several feet in some parts of the county. But now, as floodwaters wash away, people are returning to their homes to see what the damage is that was left behind. Here's NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson with a closer look at that aftermath.
The one thing you hear from residents is that this doesn't happen in San Diego. This level of devastation, this amount of storm damage now, dozens of residents cleaning out their home, often devastated by this amount of rainfall after about 1 month of rainfall landed on this city in just 6 hours.
San Diego shell-shocked by sudden, unrelenting rainfall, sparking widespread devastation, loss, and hundreds of high-water rescues.
My husband and I, we helped rescue about 10 people.
The sudden deluge, historic. The city struck with more than a month's worth of rain in just 6 hours.
We're used to rain, but not this much rain.
Residents in flooded neighborhoods digging out.
And it is easy to see the strength of this storm, how powerful it was. Just by walking around this neighborhood, you can see behind me, neighbors say it came through like a river, able to pick up these trucks just like they were matchsticks.
My dog was in here. We had to break the window to rescue my dog. Look how high the water is, almost 4 to 5 feet.
What is it like to stand in here now to see it like this? Oh, it's surreal, man. My daughters played right here. They're not going to have our memories here no more.
The Hernandez family waded through eye-level floodwater to escape, some of them seeking safety on the roof, their home gutted.
Heartbroken, tears. Just couldn't believe what was just had happened.
Even the city's infrastructure upended, ravaged roads and shuttered interstates, trolleys at a standstill. Relief is in the forecast as the storm pushes east, leaving residents with ruin in its historic wake.
And you can see how high the water was here by the watermark left on this home and really dozens of homes in neighborhoods like this all throughout the city. The rainfall, the storm, thankfully now moving out of this area, heading east, but the aftermath, devastating. Back to you.
All right, Steve Patterson, thank you very much. Well, there is more rain on the way for some parts of the country. Let's get a check on your morning news now weather with meteorologist Michelle Grossman. She's tracking these coast-to-coast storms for us. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, you need the umbrella in many spots as we head out this morning because we are looking at that southern deluge continuing. We had a break yesterday from the rain along the west coast, but we have another storm system that moved onshore. So we're looking at rain along the west coast from Washington to Oregon, Northern California. It looks like Southern California is going to be okay today. And also looking at higher elevation snow. We're looking at rocky snow as well. And then look at all the rain from the south central states through the lower Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee Valley, Ohio valleys into portions of New England. On the northern part of the system, we're looking at some cold air working in. So we have some freezing rain falling in New England, interior parts of the Northeast, and then some snow falling in portions of New England as well. Temperatures are rising, though, with that southerly flow bringing in this moisture. We're going to see those temperatures bump up. I'll show you that in just a minute. But that rain is stretching from the Gulf to the Northeast with significant flooding expected in the lower Mississippi Valley. We're going to see anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of rain. Could see 10 in some isolated spots over the next couple of days. Alerts are in place. Of course, we're looking at winter weather alerts. That is in the white, especially in portions of New England, because we are expecting that snow and also freezing rain. And then 34 million Americans under flood alerts. We have a flood watch that is in the green for portions of the Great Lakes down to portions of the Appalachians. And we're also looking at the south central states, the Tennessee Valley, the Mississippi Valley. And we have flash flood warnings. That means flooding is happening now or it's imminent. That's where you see those maroon boxes on the map here. And we're going to see that as we head throughout this Wednesday. This is what it looks like on radar. We have some stormy weather. We're going to see that as we go throughout the afternoon as well. Could see some really heavy rainfall, tornado or two, really gusty winds. But the big story here is the heavy, heavy rain. Where you see those brighter colors, that's where we're seeing the heaviest rain falling. So it's sort of falling in the same spots it fell yesterday, the day before, and we're going to see that continuing over the next day or two. Because of that, we do have a flash flood risk. We're going to see hourly rates of rainfall 2 to 3 inches per hour, especially where you see that pink. So Alexandria, New Orleans, Lake Charles, Jackson could see some very heavy rainfall. I mentioned the severe threat that includes New Orleans, especially where you see the yellow. We're expecting winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour with any storms or tornado or two as possible, and even some hail. Tomorrow, same story. We're going to see it slide a little bit to the east. Now, the west, I do want to get to this because we are soggy once again. We have that storm system moving onshore, scattered rain from Washington to California. We'll see that move into the Rockies tomorrow. So a little break again tomorrow. You could see some scattered showers along the Pacific Northwest. But then as we head towards Friday, another storm system. And these are just making its way across country. It's like a parade of storms. So by Friday, we're looking at the next storm approaching the coast. More rain, more wind and snow into the weekend. Let's talk about those temperatures, because we are warming up today. With that rain this time of year, that heavy rain, we're looking at some really warm temperatures. Raleigh today, 68 degrees. That's 19 degrees above normal. Savannah?
All right, Michelle Grossman, thank you so much. See you in a little bit. Coming up, anger over safety in the skies. In his first interview since a door plug blew out thousands of feet in the air, the CEO of Alaska Airlines blasts Boeing. The disturbing discovery, he says, were made on many of those grounded aircraft. But first, the U.S. has carried out strikes on Iran-backed militia groups in Iraq. What we know about the attack and how Iraq is responding, that is up next. Welcome back. The Iraqi government has condemned the United States for violating its sovereignty following last night's airstrikes on Iranian-backed militia groups in Iraq. U.S. Central Command said it targeted 3 facilities used by Iran-affiliated groups in Iraq. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said it was in response to a spike in attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria by the militias, which have escalated following Israel's invasion of Gaza. And in southern Gaza, Israeli forces are intensifying their siege of Han Yunis, where heavy fighting is being reported near a major hospital. At the UN yesterday, the Secretary General described the humanitarian situation in Gaza as appalling and denounced the Israeli government's rejection of a 2-state solution.
The entire population of Gaza is enduring destruction at a scale and speed without parallel in recent history. Nothing can justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people. Last week's clear and repeated rejection of the 2-state solution at the highest level of the Israeli government is unacceptable. The denial of the right to statehood to the Palestinian people would indefinitely prolong a conflict that has become a major threat to global peace and security.
NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Matt, thank you for being here. Let's start with these U.S. strikes on Iraq. Walk us through how it unfolded and tell us more about the reaction from all sides on the ground.
Well, you know, this isn't the first time, Savannah, that we've seen the U.S. striking these Iran-backed groups, and this was Kataib Hezbollah. This is a group that is distinct from Hezbollah in Lebanon, but they have a similarity in the sense that both are backed by Iran. Now, Kataib Hezbollah, like other groups in Syria and in Iraq, have been taking pot shots at U.S. military installations, of which there are still quite a few in Iraq and some in Syria. So, you know, this was something that the United States decided they were tired of getting American troops injured. And we've seen already dozens of American troops, some with serious injuries, like head injuries, that have had to be removed from Iraq, from their bases, because they were attacked. And so this is a major deterrent. And another one of the many, many flashpoints in the Middle East and in Iran's sphere of influence that could spark a major escalation in a conflict that till now has been more or less, or for the most part, confined to Israel and the Gaza Strip. Savannah?
Matt, let's turn now to Gaza and get the latest on the ground. The situation in Khan Yunis, the fighting around this hospital. What is the latest?
Yeah, well, we're hearing that the hospital, Al-Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, and Khan Yunis, again, is a southern city in the Gaza Strip, one of the two largest cities in the Gaza Strip. And it sounds as though the Israeli military has been essentially surrounding this. We've heard from doctors in the hospital. They said that there's fewer than 5 doctors left. Each of them have to take care of 10 patients. So this is a really, really bad situation for patients and doctors in these hospitals. But again, this isn't the first time that we're seeing the IDF putting hospitals in their crosshairs. The IDF, for their part, they say that Hamas and other militant groups are routinely using facilities like hospitals, like schools, mosques, civilian targets as places to install their goods, their weapons, and to hide from the Israelis, essentially, they say, using these civilian installations as civilian shields. Savannah?
Matt, I also want to ask you yesterday about what the UN Secretary General said, reiterating a call for a ceasefire. Well, this morning, there actually are some new reports that progress is being made over a potential 1-month ceasefire deal. This, of course, comes as many families are still waiting if there will be any type of hostage deal here for those remaining in Gaza. What can you tell us about the latest on negotiations?
Yeah, I mean, the situation is still pretty unclear because NBC has called Hamas and they said that they have not had this offer and they're not interested still in any offer to release the hostages until they get what they've been asking for the past several months, a full and unqualified ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Now, that seems unlikely. The government and the public here in Israel are determined to finish the job, and we've been seeing that especially in the last 2 days, ever since Israel suffered its bloodiest day in the Gaza Strip with 24 casualties, 21 of them in the same incident. Now, this was day before yesterday. So we're still seeing a situation where both sides seem to be talking past each other. There doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground, but we are seeing what looks like on background, not official, proposals that could be bringing them closer together, but public denials. So this looks like progress, but relative progress compared to the incredible lack of progress that we've been seeing over the last couple of months. Savannah?
Matt Bradley, thank you for being out in what looks and sounds like a true downpour there in Tel Aviv for us. We appreciate your reporting. Well, 10 people were killed in a plane crash in a remote part of the Northwest Territories in Canada near Fort Smith. The small plane was carrying workers from the mining company Rio Tinto to one of its diamond mines in the region. Investigators have been sent to the scene to determine what caused the crash. This comes just one day after 3 people were killed in a helicopter crash in the nearby Canadian province of British Columbia. Well, now let's get to the latest in the investigation into aircraft manufacturer Boeing. The company's CEO is scheduled to meet with lawmakers on Capitol Hill today and tomorrow. In the meetings this week, CEO Dave Calhoun is expected to answer tough questions about the grounding of their 737 MAX 9 planes. It comes as the CEO of Alaska Airlines is speaking out for the first time about the in-house inspections of their fleet of Boeing aircraft. In an NBC News exclusive, he takes senior correspondent Tom Costello on board one of the grounded planes at the center of this investigation.
In an Alaska Airlines hangar in Seattle, CEO Ben Minicucci took us on board one of the grounded Boeing MAX 9s to see the type of door plug that blew out of an Alaska plane over Portland.
So when all these bolts are in, they're against these stops,
That door's not going anywhere.
The NTSB now examining whether Boeing or Spirit Aerosystems ever bolted the door plug in place. In an exclusive interview with NBC News, CEO Minicucci says Alaska technicians have found more loose bolts on grounded planes.
We found, some loose bolts on many of our MAX 9. So those, yeah. So those are things that are going to be rectified through the inspection process.
Flight 1282 was a new Boeing MAX 9. The door plug covers an unused emergency exit in planes with fewer seats.
It makes you mad. It makes you mad that we're finding issues like that on brand new airplanes.
Thankfully, no one was sitting next to the plug when it exploded.
Looking at that video and those photos, did you think, my God, what if somebody were sitting there?
There were only 7 open seats, and we had a guardian angel, honestly, on that airplane. And I just want to take a moment here to say how sorry I am for our guests on Flight 1282 for what they experienced. It was just a terrifying flight. And also to thank our crew, the amazing professionalism and skill of our crew.
The MAX 9 is flown by both Alaska and United, which has also found loose bolts around its door plugs. All MAX 9s remain grounded, hundreds of flights canceled, as the FAA reviews data from the first round of inspections. The FAA chief would not say when the MAX 9 might be cleared to fly.
Well, we're not putting a timeline on it. Our focus is making sure that it's safe.
In a new statement, Boeing said, "We have let down our airline customers and are deeply sorry for the significant disruption to them, their employees, and their passengers." The close call came 5 years after 2 MAX 8 crashes overseas killed 346 people. Boeing promised it would double down on quality control. Now, Alaska is sending its own inspectors into Boeing plants to double-check Boeing's work. But Minicucci says Alaska will continue to fly an all-Boeing fleet.
It makes me angry, Tom. Boeing is better than this, and Flight 1282 should never have happened. Should never have happened.
Tom Costello with an exclusive there for us. Tom, thank you so much. Well, coming up, there's good news in the fight against Alzheimer's, the simple test that could help spot symptoms of the devastating form of dementia before they show. We'll have that story for you up next. We are back now with our weekly medical checkup, and we have some good news in the fight against Alzheimer's disease. It could help spot symptoms before they show. We've also got new recommendations for teens who are about to start, training for spring sports. So lots of good stuff today. Let's bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel to help break down these headlines and more. Dr. Patel, always wonderful to have you with us. Let's start with this new Alzheimer's testing. This sounds really exciting, but kind of bring me back down to earth here. Explain how big of a deal this is. A new study found a blood test successfully identified markers for the disease. How kind of novel is that to be able to have an indicator like this? And what does it ultimately mean for somebody who could develop this?
Yeah, Savannah, it's okay to be excited. Lots of us are in the clinical setting, but I'll give you some of the bad news in a bit. This is not the first blood test for Alzheimer's, but it is the first kind of commercially available, meaning it's easier to get and it's something that patients can look forward to hopefully one day getting. And it's been up to 97% accurate with correlating with levels of what we have seen in Alzheimer's disease of certain types of other increased proteins. We've talked about beta amyloid proteins. Those are plaques that we sometimes see in many Alzheimer's patients. This can be an early indicator and could be a sign for some of those new and promising therapies that we've also talked about. So the bad news, it's research use only, but that the company that developed this is going to be seeking broader FDA approval. And we don't know what it means if it's negative. Doesn't mean that you don't have dementia or you don't necessarily have Alzheimer's, but it can prevent people from getting thousands of dollars of tests that are very costly and very invasive. Doctor's orders here are very simple. If you think there's something wrong with your process of aging or your memory, get professional help. Keep a cognitive log. That's something I ask patients to do, and see if testing is right for you. Not this blood test per se, but some of the more advanced tests. And hopefully one day, a more widespread blood test I can order.
There you go. I'd love to hear that. All right, doctor, let's talk about these high school spring sports. So kind of about to get started for a lot of families. It's right around the corner. Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics, they have new guidelines, and this is to encourage young athletes to work in some recovery time. What are they recommending?
Yeah. Yeah, so the recommendations are very straightforward and have a lot to do, Savannah, with what we call the professionalization of youth sports. We're putting so much pressure on youth sports athletes that they're not having fun anymore, and they're actually burning out, and they're over-exercising and getting athletic injuries. We're seeing these injuries. So the recommendations, take a couple of days off and also have periods where you do completely different exercises. If your swimming is your thing, try something that might be completely different for you, like basketball. So doing that can help prevent these overuse injuries. Doctor's orders here. First and foremost, I want to encourage people to talk in advance of an athletic regimen with their pediatrician or health practitioner. They can help give you guidance on how to avoid these injuries. And then be alert for burnout, what I just mentioned, where suddenly it's not fun anymore and they don't feel like they have autonomy. And try to make sure that you keep the workouts fun. This is not meant, whether your child becomes an Olympic athlete or stops doing it in 1 month, you want them to be able to enjoy physical activity after that phase.
So true. Okay, let's talk a little bit about anxiety. Of course, it's common. It's becoming more common, it seems, and it can be debilitating in school and social situations for young people. And a new study finds that cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, that this can be a successful treatment. What is that? Tell us how it works.
Yeah, listen, I think that anxiety and mental health disorders in our youth and adolescents are the crisis of our generation. So I think anything that gives us insight into this. Okay, CBT, what is it? I actually use it with patients who can't sleep. CBT is a time and tested and true exercise where over usually several months to about 12 weeks in this case, with 69 children who had anxiety diagnosed, they go through a series of exercises, Savannah, to rewire your brain. I'll give you a simple example quickly. If you have a child who's really got social anxiety of entering into different places or a cafeteria, it helps program and teach that child, listen, what am I really afraid of? Do I think every single person in there is going to look at me and make fun of me? And then gives them scenarios in their head to give them coping mechanisms. When scientists at the NIH did this for 69 children over 12 weeks, they actually showed that their brains actually had different patterns of operation. They rewired their brains with cognitive behavioral therapy after 12 weeks, and they reduced their anxiety. Incredibly promising, especially for parents. So the doctor's orders here, seek out this help. It's available today, but identify some of those triggers in the meantime, those settings that might trigger some of your child's anxiety, and then try to do some of the mindfulness with them. It can be a group exercise to deep breathe, and it can also help as you seek professional help.
All right, Dr. Patel, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Great stuff today. Well, coming up, it's tax time. But if you just got your W-2 form in the mail and you're feeling overwhelmed, we've got you. We've got tax expert Mark Stieber. He's standing by to take us through everything you need to know before you file this year. And somehow he always makes it fun. I promise you'll laugh. Stick with us. We are back with everything you need to know about filing your taxes this year before that April deadline. For some Americans, though, it can be stressful and confusing. But don't worry, we've got you covered with tips on how to get organized and the changes that you need to keep an eye out for this year. Here to break it all down is our friend, Chief Tax Information Officer at Jackson Hewitt, Mark Stieber. Mark, first, just say it's better than Christmas. What do you always say?
Better than Christmas, Kwanzaa, and Hanukkah put together. 100 million people will start getting money on Monday.
There you go.
$3,000 on average.
Think about it that way.
So 3 in 4 win.
There you go.
You don't get that at the lotto.
Okay, I love it. See, I told you we'd make this fun. Is it too early?
Oh, it's never too early. In fact, it's the opposite of early. You're already late if you haven't already started with your plan of getting organized, finding your pro, have a date on the calendar. You're way late. You want to file early for 3 reasons. Really, file early, get your money. Don't have to be a financial analyst to know that makes sense. File early, lock up your data. There's bad people out there, breaches and data thieves. File early, your stuff's locked, and that other person can't swoop in. And finally, file early, because if you owe, you still don't have to pay till April 15th. File and lock up your stuff, file, get your money, and file to know exactly what you owe.
All right, there you go. So are there any changes, though, that we should think about this year? Tax policy, it feels like we were just talking before when we were in the break. I used to be able to do this and that, and now you can't because things change all the time. What's new this year?
Ton of changes this year. Statutory adjustments, things are up. Green credits are big this year. So if you bought an alternative fuel vehicle, if you did something to your home, you put in energy efficient stuff, look for credits there. But bigger than tax changes, and I tell this to everybody, life changes. Reflect on your life. Got married, had a child, adopted a child. Those are pretty standard. But did you start a side gig? Did you invest into some crypto? Are you taking care of your dependent parents? Do you have somebody somebody going back to higher education, and the list goes on and on. So look to your life changes for bigger impacts than tax law changes.
Interesting. What about if you are filing for the first time? What are your tips for somebody who's like, what does any of this mean?
Well, don't simplify it and file on your smartphone on the bus ride in. It's your single largest financial transaction. And just because it's your first time doesn't mean it's not complicated. You could have student loan interest, you could have multiple W-2s, you could have side gig activity income. Don't just go with a shortcut version. If you're comfortable doing it yourself, do your homework, read up on it, find a website that's got interesting tips and stuff. But a pro in your pocket just to debunk some of those myths that your buddy at the bar told you, probably a good idea too.
Okay, wow. So don't just do it yourself. That's good to know. What should we be thinking about? Let's get way ahead. Let's talk 2025. What should we be doing throughout this year quickly to be in a good position for that next year? To not feel the stress I'm kind of feeling right now?
Great question. I'll simply say this. The tax system now is just so intertwined with society. It's a year-round event. If you just wait till tax day, even early tax day next Monday, that really discounts your opportunity to keep good records, keep good documents and receipts, keep aware of the tax impact on all the things that you do, from rental property to crypto to side gigs, side hustles to Uber ride share driving, all those things. The better records, the lower your taxes, the bigger your refund. But it's a year-round event. So get a plan. It will lower your stress to just have a quarterly estimate or a quarterly analytics of what you're doing, and just have a plan. The plan makes this stress go down the most.
That is so true. Mark Siebert, we're going to make a plan later.
Right after this.
Together. Not sure if you knew that that was part of this. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Let's get to some other financial news for you. Netflix just posted a pretty positive start to the new year. NBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. All right, let's get you those headlines. Shares of Netflix are popping as the streaming giant added more than 13 million subscribers in the fourth quarter, easily beating analyst estimates. Now, Netflix now has more than 260 million subscribers worldwide. The company continues to benefit from its crackdown on password sharing and those cheaper ad-supported plans. Now, Netflix plans to spend $17 billion on content this year, and just yesterday struck a deal to expand further into live programming, adding the WWE's Monday Night Raw starting in 2025. Separately, Netflix is getting rid of its cheapest ad-free plan. The basic subscription, which costs $11.99 a month in the U.S., will be retired in countries where ad-supported plans are available. Canada and the U.K. will be the first markets to see it go. That leaves subscribers with the $15.49 per month option as the cheapest ad-free plan. Netflix stopped letting new customers sign up for the basic plan last year. And Tesla has reportedly told suppliers it wants to start producing a new electric vehicle starting in 2025. Reuters says the car, codenamed Redwood, will be a compact crossover. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has long talked about plans for an electric vehicle that would be built on next-generation, cheaper platforms. Those models, including a entry-level $25,000 car, could help it better compete with cheaper gas-powered cars and a growing number of less expensive EVs, such as those made by China's BYD. Savannah.
All right, Silvana, thank you very much. Yeah. Well, it has been one day since the Oscar nominations came out. If you were with us yesterday, we were getting them live, we were talking about it, and one story kind of shook me, and it is still dominating the news. That is the snubbing of Barbie in two key categories. Margot Robbie did not make the cut for Best Actress for her starring role in the movie, and Greta Gerwig was shut out of the Best Director category. Meanwhile, the film did receive 8 nods in total, with Ryan Gosling scoring a nomination for Best Supporting Actor for playing Ken. Joining us now for more on this is entertainment journalist and pop culture expert Brian Balthazar. Brian, always wonderful to have you with us. Good to see you. Let's just start with the fan reaction to these two women being left out. There is a lot on social media. I just saw some of it pop up here. We're going to show you a second in the studio. What are they saying? And specifically, I have been entertained and found there to be some truth in the way that people are pointing out kind of how it echoes some of the premise of the movie itself.
Right. This is a sort of life imitating art, perhaps. Let's take a look at some of the tweets. We have one that says, Ken getting nominated and not Barbie is honestly so fitting for a film about a man discovering the power of patriarchy in the real world. Another, wait, Ryan Gosling got nominated for his role as Ken, but Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for Barbie? And Greta got snubbed for Best Director? Way to justify the literal plot of the movie. And then another, Greta Gerwig made a film that was critically acclaimed, culturally impactful, hilarious, unique, visually exceptional, perfectly cast and acted, left people laughing, crying, and thinking, and made $1 billion at the box office, but no Best Director nom. So you can see people are noticing this patriarchy thing happening. It's especially weird when someone gets their motion picture nominated but doesn't get the Best Director nod, and that has happened to Greta once before with Little Women.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you just think it kind of. As somebody who loves movies, but I feel like I usually don't agree with the critical, the real critiques of a movie, the real reviews by people who, do that for a living. I'm always kind of like, oh, I liked it, or oh, I didn't really like that, or I didn't really get it. Right. It's like if it made $1 billion, you'd think it obviously did something right, that there should be some type of credit for that in terms of who was responsible for it. But we know Ryan Gosling.
Well, and one more thing about that, if you don't mind my saying, directors vote for Best Director, and the pool of directors voting for that is largely male. So then when you dig into that voting pool, and then you see that the majority, when everyone votes for Best Motion Picture, and that got it, that's where you see, oh, this is a little icky.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. Thank you for making that point, Brian. Ryan Gosling himself released a statement kind of calling out the Academy. What did he say about this? Because again, he was nominated. Ken was, Barbie wasn't.
Exactly. Compounding the awkwardness. He spoke out, and he has to be careful because he is nominated. He doesn't want to annoy the Academy. But he says, there is no Ken without Barbie, and there is no Barbie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, the two people most responsible for this history-making, globally celebrated film. To say that I'm disappointed that they are not nominated in their respective categories would be an understatement. It's really something else.
Yeah, it is. And I know, Brian, Barbie's not the only snub that people are talking about. What else do people think was overlooked?
Right. So there are quite a few of them, actually. There's Charles Melton for May, December. Everyone really now he was snubbed for a couple of awards previously, but they really thought that this was going to be one moment for him. Greta Lee and Ted Yu for Past Lives. Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon, also just recently snubbed for a SAG award. All of Us Strangers, The Iron Claw, and The Color Purple only getting one nomination for Danielle Brooks. So they were expecting a lot more. So that was a big disappointment for a lot of these folks.
There were, though, some historic firsts on who was nominated. Tell us about this.
Right. Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon getting nominated for Best Lead Actress, the first Native American actress to be nominated. Then we also have a kind of an interesting trifecta. We have Barbie, Past Lives, and Anatomy of a Fall. And they're all nominated. Interesting. 3 women nominated for Best Picture. They're also 3 auteurs, meaning they both had a hand in writing or co-writing their films. So that's history making as well.
There you go. Brian Balthazar, we love to see some of that. Some of it's a little head-scratching. Thank you very much for joining us to talk about this one.
Thank you.
Coming up, we've all heard of ice sculptures, but what about snow sculptures? Well, up next, we'll introduce you to the all-women snow sculpting squad. They're breaking barriers on their way to a national final. Pretty cool. Stay with us. Welcome back. We've got a little dog story for you. A team of researchers have come up with a theory to explain why dogs wag their tails. Rather than it being a form of communication between dogs, the scientists from the Netherlands think the behavior is because of us. They believe that as the rhythmic nature of tail wagging makes us, as humans, happy, humans often look for the trait when selecting which dogs to bring into their homes and to breed. So over thousands of years, it became common. It would explain why wolves in the wild hardly ever wag their tails. Never thought about that. Dogs are also thought to have evolved their appearance, including fur and puppy dog eyes, to make themselves more appealing. Well, that's just very sweet. Okay, we're going to end this hour with an all-female team taking part in a very cool competition, snow sculpting. The team from Maine, who go by the Chickadees, are representing their state in the U.S. National Snow Sculpting Championship. Reporter Donovan Lynch from NBC News Center Maine got an inside look at how they're prepping.
On the side of a Nordic ski trail in Waterville, hand tools work away at the snowpack.
This is getting rounder. It's there for a moment and gone, and I love that it's also larger than life.
But these women aren't just sculpting to please, they're training to win.
It becomes like an art that's also competitive, but also challenging.
Serena Sanborn is the captain of the Chickadees, a snow sculpting team made up of her sister Phoebe and their friend Desiree. They're practicing for nationals Nationals less than a week away in Wisconsin, where they'll represent Maine as the only all-female squad.
Women have never not been invited, but I think sometimes you have to be explicit in your welcoming.
As such, the Chickadees are choosing to sculpt something at the competition that reflects the breaking of barriers, both on this earth and beyond.
This is a sculpture of Artemis, the moon goddess.
Despite this divine subject, the obstacles confronting the team are uniquely mortal.
You know, if it gets too warm and something falls off or it doesn't quite come out the way you want.
Staring down uncooperative weather or poor sun direction, these hardy Mainers will work away in hopes of securing victory and sending a message.
I think it's brave to be a female artist, and I think it's brave to be a female artist sculpting in below zero temperatures.
This toil, all going to something impermanent, leaving only a trace in those who built it.
This is the stuff that life is made of. Like, this is always stuff like this. This is what you got to do.
Our thanks to Donovan Lynch for that report. And the Chickadees will compete 1 week from today in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. We will try to remember to bring you an update on that. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now. Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's on assignment today. Right now on Morning News Now, the results are in. America's first primary of 2024 going to former President Trump, with NBC News projecting this morning a sizable win in New Hampshire over former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, whose all-out voter push in the Granite State has landed her with just over 43% of the ballots cast. Haley, though, this morning defiant, vowing to stay in the race, insisting it is far from over and that she can still clinch the nomination. We have full team coverage of the results as we look ahead to South Carolina, which is shaping up to be a make-or-break contest for Haley in her home state. We are also following some breaking news this morning out of Russia, where authorities say a military transport jet carrying dozens of Ukrainian prisoners of war has crashed, reportedly killing everyone on board. We will bring you what we know at this hour. Also, a warning to the world this morning as a group of scientists says humanity is as close as it's ever been to its destruction, where the so-called doomsday clock stands in 2024. And it was the Oscar snub heard quite literally around the world. Barbie's leading ladies, Margot Robbie and director Greta Gerwig, notably absent from some top nods, and the internet positively fuming over that, and over Ryan Gosling's nomination for Best Supporting Actor. We've got his response to the brewing controversy later in the hour. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're going to get started, of course, with the first in the nation primary now in the books, and former President Donald Trump closer to winning the Republican nomination for president. Trump won the New Hampshire primary last night, defeating former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, NBC News is projecting. Now, despite coming in second place, Haley says the race is not over and she's not dropping out. It's the second straight victory for the former president to kick off the primary season after winning the Iowa caucuses, of course, earlier this month. No Republican has won both and not then gone on to take the party's nomination. Meanwhile, despite not being on the ballot, President Biden did come out on top and win the New Hampshire primary. As you can see on your screen, he defeated Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips in a write-in campaign. NBC News senior Washington correspondent and News Now anchor Hallie Jackson has the very latest from New Hampshire.
Hey there, good morning to you. And this morning, former President Trump is getting that double-digit win that his allies wanted to see, with most of the vote in here in New Hampshire, as he firms up his grip on the GOP. But even as Mr. Trump hopes to rally the rest of the party behind him, he is making no overtures to Nikki Haley overnight. Quite the opposite, actually. Unlike after Iowa, his tone, not conciliatory, but combative.
This is a great, great state.
Former President Trump overnight on a winning streak and on attack after becoming the only Republican in a competitive primary to win both Iowa and now New Hampshire.
This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night. Who the hell was the imposter that went up on the stage?
Mr. Trump clearly furious at former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's pledge to stay in the race and deny him the party unity he wants, promising to keep up his barrage in her home state.
They will head out to South Carolina, where I think we're going to win easily. But I felt I should do this because I find in life you can't let people get away with bullshit.
The former president even targeting Haley's appearance at her speech earlier that night.
And when I watched her in the fancy dress, that probably wasn't so fancy.
Haley speaking soon after the New Hampshire results came in, sharpening her attacks.
With Donald Trump, Republicans have lost almost every competitive election. We lost the Senate. We lost the House. We lost the White House. The worst kept secret in politics is how badly the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump.
And suggesting President Biden may not complete a second term.
A Trump nomination is a Biden win and a Kamala Harris presidency.
Haley winning a majority of self-described moderates in New Hampshire and first-time GOP primary voters. The former president dominating in New Hampshire among core Republican voters, including the majority of self-described conservatives. His march to the nomination appearing on pace despite the multiple indictments he faces. But in New Hampshire, 4 in 10 voters say they'd consider Mr. Trump unfit to be president if convicted. Do you believe that your legal issues are helping or hurting your campaign, sir?
They're fake issues. They're Biden issues. It's all election interference.
The campaign trail and the courtroom colliding for Mr. Trump now. President Biden, for his part, is reacting to the Republican results here, saying in a statement overnight, it is now clear that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee, saying his message to the country is that the stakes in this election could not be higher. Back to you.
All right, Hallie Jackson, thank you so much. For more on the primary, let's bring in Wall Street Journal senior political correspondent Molly Ball. Molly, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So I want to, if you don't mind, kind of talk about the spread that we saw here. Haley losing by 11 points, but, you know, gaining 43% of the vote. I think a month or so ago, if we would have heard that, that would have sort of been a surprise. So in some ways, you know, was this sort of closer than expected? Did she outperform even though she lost? What do you make of the significance here of the gap between the two of them?
Well, look, on the one hand, there are no moral victories in politics, and to win, you have to win. So falling short by double digits, obviously, Nikki Haley would have liked a better result. Her camp is trying to spin this as a close enough loss that it gives her a reason to keep going, pointing out that it does show that more than 40% of the voters in this Republican primary do not want Donald Trump to be the nominee. Now, Donald Trump was, as Hallie noted, the overwhelming choice of Republican voters, and that's why Haley's path from here just gets harder. In the states to come, particularly the next contest in her home state of South Carolina, the electorate is much more conservative. Only Republicans can vote. So it's hard to see where she can put points on the board, even if she's happy with how she performed here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, do you think what she managed last night in New Hampshire is about as well as she will do in any state that are the upcoming primaries we're going to see?
Yeah, that's really the problem that she has, is that this could well be her high water mark. This is an electorate that is much more friendly to her brand of republicanism than really any other state on the map. It's a place where she had institutional advantages. She had the support of the popular Republican governor who really went all out campaigning for her. So it's hard to see where she does better than this. But, you know, you heard in Donald Trump's comments, he didn't like how well she did. He was clearly annoyed that she came as close as she did and that she declined to drop out and endorse him upon coming in second, or as he would say, last.
Two things that I think we've started to hear more from Haley, even just in the last couple of days, and certainly we heard last night when she spoke, hitting both Biden and Trump on their age, as well as kind of starting to have a little bit of a focus on her matched up against Biden. What do you make of those 2 points? Are those things that she should be hitting on harder?
This has been a key part of Nikki Haley's argument, really from the beginning, the idea that she's more electable than Trump. And that is certainly something that you see in those national head-to-head polls. You know, I was with Donald Trump last night in Nashua, New Hampshire at his election night victory party. And he had graphics up on either side of the stage with charts purporting to show that he would fare better against Biden than Haley would. But that's not what most of the polls have shown so far. They have shown that Haley would be a better better general election candidate. And given the concerns that so many voters have, even many Democrats, about the president's age, she has tried to pitch herself as what she calls a new generational leader, someone who is younger, someone who is more vigorous, someone who will turn the page on politicians of the past in both parties. So that's certainly an argument we can expect to hear her stress going forward.
Molly, we heard her reference her sweet home state of South Carolina when she spoke last night. Of course, right now it's not looking great for her in the polls. You mentioned a little bit of the makeup of that state. It's much more conservative than what we just saw in New Hampshire. What does she need to do to have a fighting chance in that state? Is there anything that can happen between now and that primary?
Well, Nikki Haley is flying to South Carolina today. She's going to hold an event today to try to start ginning up support in South Carolina. She was a popular governor of the state, but that was many years ago, and it was before Donald Trump came along. And what we have seen in these conservative states, southern states, deep red states, these are the states where Trump does best. He has the loyalty of Republican voters, conservative voters, and working class voters. And that is really the composition of the Republican primary electorate in a state like South Carolina. Trump also has the support of a lot of the Republican establishment in the state. He, despite, Haley's roots in the state, he's got the endorsement of the congressional delegation, of many state legislators and statewide officials. Senator Tim Scott, who was appointed to the Senate from South Carolina by Nikki Haley when she was governor, ran against Trump for president, but dropped out and a few days ago endorsed Trump and was on stage with him here in New Hampshire last night. And I spoke with Tim Scott, and he said he believes that it will be a tough battle, but he said he thinks South Carolina is Trump country.
All right. Molly Ball, we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thanks for.
Let's now bring in NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki. Of course, he's at the big board. Steve, we love when you come and visit us in this studio. Thank you very much for being here. So let's talk about poll data. So Nikki Haley, before we had seen, and we have talked about this, she trailed by more than 20 points. But then, as far as polling goes, she outperformed what we had seen prior, just losing by about 11 points or so. Of course, not enough to win. But what should we know about those numbers? What does that tell us?
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to end up being, as you can see here, some votes still to be counted, but probably an 11-point win, maybe a 12-point win for Donald Trump statewide. So, that final poll at 22 points, I think that set expectations very high for Trump, very low for Haley. So she certainly, clears that threshold. And you saw how she, claimed basically a moral victory. Basically what happened, though, the reason why she was able to keep it to a low double-digit outcome is you look at the population centers in the state. Concord is the third largest city. It's the state capital. And she was able to win Concord there. You look at Dover, again, this is a mid-sized city by New Hampshire standards. She was able to win it. You go to the southwestern part of the state, Keene. Again, this is a college town in part. Keene State College is there. So it's really, here's one I'll show you too. Hanover. This is where Dartmouth is. This is like the most liberal town in the state. This was Trump's worst town in 2016. It was his worst town last night. It's not many votes, but look at that. She nets more than 1,200 votes, Haley does, over Donald Trump in Hanover. So those are the places that kind of kept her to the level, brought her up to the level that she got. The problem, though, was, again, in a place like Concord, she needed it not to be 51, but to be like 60. That's what she needed to be getting there. A city like Nashua, second largest in the state, again, it has a lot of the types of voters she's been appealing to, with college degrees, higher median income, folks who are more independent, more moderate, and she actually loses it to Trump. So even in her strong areas, with the exception there of Hanover, she underperformed, I think, a bit for what she needed to do. And then in the small towns, in the rural areas, the places with lower median income, with lower college graduation rates, as you say, sort of the blue-collar backbone of the Republican Party, especially under Donald Trump, she just, the bottom fell out, the floor fell out there for her. She had that problem in Iowa. She had it again last night in New Hampshire.
What was interesting, of course, about this particular state is the makeup of it, how many independent or undeclared voters there are. And she was counting on those voters to kind of try to make these numbers work for her. How did she do with those groups? And then what does that tell us about future contests, especially, of course, we think about her home state and how much more conservative that is. What does it tell us?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I have never seen in a New Hampshire presidential primary a split like we saw last night. Let me show you here from our exit poll here. First of all, you just notice half the electorate, basically 51%, actually called themselves Republicans. The other 49% said, no, I'm an independent, or no, I actually think of myself as a Democrat. So that split in and of itself, you don't see really in any other state. But this is the split that I've never seen before. Look, among Republicans, Donald Trump didn't just win. Donald Trump crushed Nikki Haley by 49 points, 74 to 25%. And then among independents, the group we said Haley needed to do well with, she won by 22. So that's a swing of Trump plus 49 with one group, Haley plus 22 with the other. That is a swing of 71 points between those two groups. I've never seen anything on that level in New Hampshire, in a New Hampshire presidential primary before. And the problem for Haley is just simply going forward, you're not going to find states where half the electorate is not Republican. You're not going to find states with the mix she had here, and getting 25% of Republicans. You know, it wasn't enough in New Hampshire. She's going to lose by double digits. That'll get you blown out in a bunch of states.
Steve, your magic board does all types of things that we don't even fully understand. What other numbers do you got in there that really stand out that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think one thing we can do is just take a look going forward, because we're talking about where would Nikki Haley go from here. So here is the primary calendar on the Republican side, having New Hampshire last night. You know, there'll be Nevada in a couple weeks. It's a complicated thing, but Trump's getting all those delegates just because he's the only one eligible for them. But let's just fast forward to Super Tuesday. South Carolina comes before it. Nikki Haley is not looking in good position, even though it's her home state, but she's pointing to Super Tuesday. And you can see these are all the states voting on Super Tuesday. And the problem that Nikki Haley has, beyond what I just said about not appealing to core Republican voters, the problem she has is the rules, the way they're written on the Republican side is once you get to the Super Tuesday, a lot of these states are essentially winner-take-all delegate states, or states where, you know, Donald Trump could easily, just by winning the state, even if it's by a few points, win 90% of the delegates. Something like they add up fast. A great example is the biggest that day, California. The rule in California is if you get 50% plus one statewide, you get every one of those 169 delegates. And in a two-person race, which this now is, basically the winner's going to get 50.1%. And the most recent poll we saw out of California had Trump at 66% there. So the delegates on Super Tuesday add up real fast, even if the margins actually were close, and there's no indication they'd be close in just about all of these states. It's designed, the Republican rules are designed to produce a nominee early, and that is why Super Tuesday is structured the way it is.
It sure is. We've got a lot more to talk about in these weeks and months to come. Steve Kornacki, thank you so much for being here.
You got it.
Well, much of the country is waking up to gray skies and heavy rain as major winter storms continue to make their way across the country. It comes after a week of deep freezes and record amounts of snow in the north. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky is on the ground in Houston with the details. Hi, Morgan. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. And it is a rainy mess here in Houston, where officials are keeping an incredibly close eye on these water levels. Hard to believe, but right now, 34 million Americans are under flood watches from here in Texas all the way up to Rhode Island. And for many others, freezing rain is keeping that icy threat very much in play. This morning, millions on alert as the wild winter weather continues. While many are still recovering from that deep freeze, flooding now on the horizon for the south and east coast. Some areas already getting battered. Texas soaked with relentless rain.
Standing at about 7 inches deep.
In the Houston area, boil water advisories now affecting at least 2 water systems. The storm also barreling through Louisiana. Lake Charles expecting dense fog, according to the National Weather Service. This is extreme weather, and freezing temps have struck much of the United States. Freezing rain making for treacherous conditions in the Midwest and lower Great Lakes region. Slicking over icy roads. A heart-stopping rescue scene in Arkansas. Body cam video released Tuesday shows a police officer crawling on frozen ice over the weekend, saving a child who had fallen into the lake. And San Diego drying out after severe flooding from a storm dumping record rainfall. 3 months worth of rain in just 6 hours on Monday. Officials and neighbors all coming together to help rescue loved ones.
We had to break the window to rescue my dog. That was, look how high the water is, almost 4 to 5 feet.
Authorities now blaming at least one death on the storm. as the massive cleanup gets underway.
We're grateful. You know, life goes on. The most important thing is that we have our lives and we can rebuild everything else.
And nationwide, since this series of winter storms began, officials say it's now claimed at least 75 lives, 30 of those coming from the state of Tennessee alone. We know the city of Memphis that was hit especially hard by sub-freezing temperatures that compromised their pipelines there still has a boil water advisory in place for at least today. Savannah.
All right, Morgan Chesky, thank you so much. Well, let's get the latest on the forecast. NBC News meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us on this now. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hi there, Savannah. We're going to add totals to where Morgan is. We're looking at a lot of rain across the south once again today. We're going to see that again tomorrow. Some spots could see up to 8 inches of rain, even more locally higher amounts. So as we go throughout the day, we're seeing rain from the south central states all the way to New England. And we had a little break yesterday in the West Coast. That's a different story today. We have another storm system moving on shore that's going to bring more wind, more rain, and also the chance of some higher elevation snow. Temperatures, they're increasing in the eastern half of the nation. That's because we're pulling that wind off the Gulf. That's why we're seeing all that moisture. We're also seeing the temperatures rise with that southerly flow. So temperatures will be above average as we go throughout the day. But the main story today will be this eastern deluge. We're looking at that rain stretching from the Gulf all the way to the northeast. Lots of bright colors here. We're seeing reds, oranges, yellows. That's where we're going to see the highest amounts. So lots along the south central states into portions of the lower Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee Valley, even into the northeast. And we could see some significant flooding in the lower Mississippi Valley, but flooding is possible all along the Gulf Coast as well. We're seeing flooding right now. That's where you're seeing those maroon boxes. So that means flooding is happening now or it's imminent. 34 million people impacted by flood alerts. Where you see the green, that is a flood watch. And where you see the red, that is a flood warning. Also looking at winter weather advisories in the white there because we're looking at the chance for some freezing rain and also some snow. We're not expecting blockbuster amounts, but still enough to really make travel tough this morning and then into your evening commute. This is what radar looks like. Lots of lightning, too, with some of these storms because we're looking at warm air working in, and that's bringing some power to some of these storms. So we're going to see the chance for a tornado or two, even the chance of some hail, some really heavy rain, and also winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. But look at all that rain, those dark colors showing us where all that heavy rain is falling. That's going to lead to the chance for some flooding and flash flooding. We're going to see hourly rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour, especially where you're looking at that reddish color. So Jackson, Alexandria, New Orleans, over to Lake Charles could see some really heavy rainfall. We're particularly concerned about flash flooding there. As far as the rainfall forecast goes, we're looking anywhere from 3 to 5 inches generally, and that extends all the way to the northeast. But we're also looking at the chance of 4 to 8 in some higher amounts, even locally higher amounts in some spots as we go throughout the afternoon hours. And then we're going to see the rain extending not only today, tomorrow into the early part of Friday in the northeast. So we're going to add up some totals there where you see the yellow. That's going to be the higher amounts there. So we're going to watch that very closely. Also looking at a January warm-up. Temperatures well above normal. We haven't said that in a while today. From Minneapolis to Evansville, Atlanta, Raleigh, 68 degrees. That's 19 degrees above what is typical for this time of year. New York City looking at 46, 8 degrees above normal. New Orleans, 74. That's going to be 11 degrees above what you are normally feeling this time of year. And then by tomorrow, temperatures still above normal. Boston, 50 degrees. That's going to melt any snow that's there. 14 degrees above normal, 71 in Elizabeth City. Monroe looking at 69, 11 degrees above normal. And still warm in Chicago, 39. They suffered for so long with sub-freezing temperatures, so that's going to feel good. 62 in Lexington and 77 in Savannah. So as we go towards the West Coast, again, we had that break yesterday. That was good news after all that rain that came on Monday in San Diego. Looks like today, Southern California is going to be okay in terms of the weather. We're going to keep it dry there, but we're looking at another storm system moving on shore. So heavy rain from Washington to Oregon and Northern California. We're going to see some higher elevation snow, some wind once again, scattered rain from Washington to California. Then tomorrow we get another brief break. You see a little few scattered showers throughout your Thursday, but that heavy snow shifting into the Rockies. Again, this is just making its way across country. So we're seeing these parade of storms, and we're going to continue to see that through the weekend as well. Friday, unfortunately, here comes another storm approaching the coast. So you can expect more rain, more wind and snow into the weekend. Again, heavy rain, too, because we're looking at those brighter colors from Portland and Medford with some really heavy rain. Also, the chance of some higher elevation snow. So, Savannah, these parade of storms just continue, and we're going to keep tracking these at least through the weekend. Back to you.
Michelle, thank you so much. We've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including why one group of scientists is now saying that humanity is as close as it's ever been to its own destruction. First, though, we're watching some developing news overseas this morning. Russian authorities saying a military transport jet which crashed was carrying dozens of Ukrainian prisoners of war. We'll bring you what we know right after this. We are back with breaking news this morning. Russia says one of its military transport planes carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war on board has crashed, killing all passengers. Russia claims the POWs were due to be swapped in a prisoner exchange. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter joins us now with what we know at this point. Molly, good to see you. What more can you tell us about this crash? What have we heard from both Ukraine and Russia?
Savannah, good morning. And news is still breaking. Details are still coming in. But that's right. As the war in Ukraine grinds on after nearly 2 years of fighting, this is a major accusation from Russia's Ministry of Defense, and it could be very damaging for Ukraine. So the Russian state media reports that a Russian military aircraft on a scheduled flight this morning, Savannah, as you mentioned, crashed in Belgorod. It's a western region close to the Ukrainian borders. I think you can see on the map right now. This is the video posted by a Telegram account linked to Russian security services, and it appears to show the plane hurtling towards the ground, then exploding into a fireball. Now, according to Russian defense officials, the plane was carrying 65 captured military personnel, Ukrainian POWs, as well as 9 other people. No official cause of the crash has been released yet. Of course, there will be, or at least there should be, an investigation, but the Russian head of defense committee has said the plane was shot down and that Ukrainian leadership was aware of the prisoner exchange happening, but also how those prisoners would be transported. Now, the foreign ministry now directly pointing the finger at Ukraine, calling it a barbaric act of terrorism. But Savannah, details are still coming in. NBC News has not independently verified the details of this incident, including who exactly was on board. Savannah?
Molly, this is day 700 of the Russia-Ukraine war. Do you think that this could escalate things in the conflict?
Day 700. It's unbelievable, actually, and absolutely. So Ukrainian President Zelensky, Savannah, has been unrelenting. He's been speaking powerfully and frequently about the increased Russian attacks on Ukrainian territory in recent weeks. And especially as the U.S. election gets into full swing, his appeal for vital Western and U.S. aid continues. But Savannah, as this story develops, it could be incredibly damaging for Zelensky as he fights to really keep Ukraine on the world agenda. Savannah?
All right, Molly Hunter, thank you very much. Let's get you more international headlines now. South Korea is stating that North Korea has fired missiles into the sea. NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Hi, Claudio. Good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. That's right. South Korea's military said that North Korea fired several cruise missiles into the sea off its western coast. Now, this is the second known launch event of the year after a January 14th test firing of ballistic missiles. The South Korean military is analyzing the launch but cannot confirm the number or details of the missiles fired. In Turkey now, where legislators signed off on Sweden's membership in NATO, passing a major block in the country's entry into the military alliance. The ratification was approved 287 votes to 55, including 4 abstentions. Turkey had been delaying their vote for over a year now, accusing Sweden of leniency towards major security threats. Last month, Sweden's deputy foreign minister cited lifting restrictions on defense industry sales and amending terrorism laws in order to meet Turkey's demands. Hungary is now the only NATO ally yet to endorse Sweden's accession. And finally, let's come back here to Italy, where a tiny town with the oldest residents is looking for young blood. San Giovanni has only 137 full-time residents and has the oldest population average in the whole of Italy and one of the oldest in the world. In order to save the future of their town, the locals are trying multiple marketing tactics to urge young people to move to the region. Some attractions include building a soccer field and repairing the roads, but their most valuable assets is the real estate. With its small town feel and abundance of empty homes, the locals are hoping new neighbors or summer vacationers will move in next door. Back to you, Savannah.
Claudio, what do you think? Are you going?
I already bought one, so I'm moving there. And the next live will be from San Giovanni Lipioni.
I can't wait to see it. Claudio, thank you very much. Coming up, safety stand down. After the break, Boeing's latest factory floor response to that terrifying mid-air blowout, as United CEO says the company might now look elsewhere for its new jets. Stick around. Our Tom Costello has that story up next. We are back now with new developments in the investigation into the Boeing 737 MAX 9. On Thursday, Boeing will hold a one-day pause known as a safety stand-down for everyone working on its 737 production line. This comes as the manufacturer vows to refocus on quality control and safety in the wake of that alarming incident with the door plug. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello is at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport near the Boeing headquarters, and he joins us now. Hi, Tom. Good morning. I understand that you spoke exclusively with the CEO of Alaska Airlines. It's a fantastic interview, and he took you inside one of those grounded MAX 9 planes to see the door plug itself, the focus of the investigation. Tell us about this.
Yeah, that's right. So the CEO is Ben Minicucci, and he is angry. He tells me he's angry at Boeing because of their lapse in safety, which they acknowledge their complete breakdown in quality control nearly cost his passengers their lives. So, as you probably know, Alaska has been forced to ground nearly a third of their fleet. That means hundreds of flights canceled every day. United also canceling hundreds of flights every day. And so Boeing, under investigation, is also under intense pressure. Within hours of the mid-air emergency on Flight 1282, Alaska Airlines CEO Ben Minicucci grounded all 65 of his MAX 9s. As an engineer, he immediately suspected the problem was bigger than just one plane.
There's no doubt that Alaska received an airplane off the production line with a faulty door.
And it could have cost your passengers their lives.
Exactly.
Minicucci took us inside one of Alaska's grounded MAX 9s to see the door plug now being inspected on every MAX 9. A series of bolts hold it in place. The NTSB investigating whether the door plug was ever bolted in place on the assembly line.
Boeing is better than this. Flight 1282 should never have happened. Should never have happened.
Already, both United and Alaska have found problems while inspecting their MAX 9s.
We found discrepancies on many of our airplanes.
Meaning loose bolts?
Loose bolts. It could be a missing cotter pin.
Have you conveyed your disappointment, your anger, to Boeing's top leadership about this?
I'm more than frustrated and disappointed. I am angry. This happened to Alaska Airlines. It happened to our guests. It happened to our people.
Its reputation now seriously damaged, Boeing has ordered a safety stand-down for Thursday. In a statement, Boeing says, "We have let down our airline customers and are deeply sorry for the significant disruption to them, their employees, and their passengers." It was 5 years ago that 2 MAX 8 crashes overseas killed 346 people. Boeing promised then it would double down on quality control. Now, United's CEO says he'll consider buying Airbus planes rather than Boeing's.
The MAX 9 grounding is probably the straw that broke the camel's back for us.
Alaska, meanwhile, is sending its own inspectors into Boeing plants to double-check Boeing's work. It was pure luck that no one was sitting next to the plug when it exploded. Looking at that video and those photos, did you think, my God, what if somebody were sitting there?
There were only 7 open seats, and we had a guardian angel, honestly, on that airplane.
So the MAX 9, of course, remains grounded. The FAA not providing any update on when it might fly again. They still need to go through more inspections of more groups of the MAX 9. And we mentioned that Alaska has lost nearly a third of its fleet grounded. That means hundreds of flights canceled a day. That means hundreds of thousands of passengers so far have been inconvenienced on Alaska alone. Same thing with United. And as we said, Boeing under pressure. Now the CEO of Boeing meeting with senators today in Washington, and they are demanding answers and accountability, Savannah.
Tom Costello, fantastic interview. Thank you very much for bringing it to us. Well, now to a warning for humanity. A group of scientists says the world is still as close as it has ever been to destruction. The alert comes from the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, the group who maintains the so-called doomsday clock. On Tuesday, they announced they were keeping the clock's time the same as last year, 90 seconds to midnight. Joining us now is the president and CEO of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, Rachel Bronson. Rachel, thank you very much for joining us. So look, just to call it what it is, I think this is a little scary for some people this early in the morning to discuss, but it's super important. I mean, let's start with the doomsday clock itself. We know it's symbolic, but why was it created and what exactly does it represent?
It was created in 1947, and it was a alert, an alarm, a metaphor to focus attention on concerns about the advancement of technology and our inability to govern it. And at the time, it was focused on nuclear weapons. That was the one technology that could truly end life on Earth as we know it. And they were very scared. Our founders were very scared. Over the years, as we know, of course, science has continued to evolve. And so the doomsday clock now considers nuclear weapons, climate change, and new disruptive technologies, recognizing that we have an opportunity for science to bring us huge benefits, but we do have to figure out how to govern or mitigate its risks, because without it, science can also create real dangers, which currently that's what's happening because we haven't figured out how to govern it effectively, especially globally.
Yeah, one of those things we're going to talk about in just a second, of course, AI is something we talk a lot about on this show. But first, let's just talk about the decision yesterday that was made, keeping the clock at 90 seconds to midnight for a second straight year. You call this a moment of historic danger. What were the reasons for that? And tell us exactly what that 90 seconds means exactly, why that time?
Absolutely. And so we moved it last year to 90 seconds to midnight. We really focused on the Ukraine war. We were very concerned about the veiled nuclear threats that were coming from Vladimir Putin and from Russia. And we were calling that out as extremely dangerous. It was the first time in decades we had seen nuclear weapons being brandished as a weapon of war, almost being used as if it was another weapon, which of course it's not. The risks associated are considerable. We've been steadily moving it closer to midnight after the Cold War, where we had moved it back. We can always move it back, and we can had moved it back 17 minutes to midnight. Slowly, it had been moving forward year after year because of a lack of engagement between the U.S. and Russians on nuclear weapons, and also a failure to seriously combat climate change and to recognize that we just weren't moving fast enough in terms of addressing what we see as the second existential threat. So last year we had moved it. This year we kept it at 90 seconds, 90 seconds the closest it's been, with the message to say this is very dangerous. And I think there's many people out there who feel like things are not going in the right direction, and we agree. And that's what this suggests, that this is an unstable and unsustainable time, and leaders and public need to be paying attention as we're all trying, to focus on these issues. And earlier in your program, you did a story on North Korea. There's a lot of really dangerous things happening right now around the world, and our leaders aren't giving it the significant weight it deserves.
I know one of those things that your group cited is these advances in AI, something we talk a lot about here, something that we also know is really lacking when it comes to regulation, any type of policy surrounding it. What types of things need to be done in an area like that, let's say, as we look ahead to next year, to bring us back, sort of from that brink, to get further away from midnight? What brings you hope that we could do that?
Yeah, AI is an incredibly interesting kind of technology right now. And in our world, we talk about it as like AI going through its Oppenheimer moment, right? This moment where we know that AI is going to bring huge benefits. There's huge advances we're going to make because of it. But there's also real dangers. There's dangers of how it can be applied in the biological sciences in terms of coming up with kind of new pathogens. There's dangers out there in terms of how we link it up to our current warfighting abilities. There's dangers out there. So we always know that that's always about science advancement. And the good news is that the leaders have called from many of the AI companies have called out asking for regulation. So they're asking for it. We should be really paying attention. There is some good news in that in the UK in particular, but also here in the United States, also at the UN, we are seeing the beginnings of groups and organizations and institutions beginning to identify this as something that we need to really focus on, and we call that out as a bright spot. There is an acknowledgement of it, but what we're also hearing from the leaders of AI companies is that this is moving very quickly. So we've seen a real ramp up in attention. That's the good news. As with many of the areas we looked at in our report, it's just not happening fast enough. And we talk about that in the report we released yesterday, along with setting the clock.
Rachel Bronson, really important stuff. Scary as it is, we should be talking about it. Thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, all that Oscar buzz quickly turned into Oscar outrage online. The leading ladies of Barbie, Margot Robbie and director Greta Gerwig, snubbed from some top nominations, while Ryan Gosling scored one for his role as Ken. We've got his response to the drama up next. We are back now with a look at Americans' shifting attitudes towards buying a home. According to the latest survey from financial company NerdWallet, a growing number of us have a negative outlook on the current housing market. 67% saying the market has never been worse for buyers than it is right now. Joining us now is NerdWallet data analyst Elizabeth Renter to help break down what this means. Elizabeth, thanks very much for being here. So what were your big takeaways that you took away from this data?
Well, I think there was a little bit of bad news and a little bit of good news. We'll start with the bad news. 77% of Americans that started 2023 with an intention to buy fell short. Last year was a tough year for buyers, and that did play a role in some of their discouragement, right? They're feeling a bit frustrated. However, we did find that 12% of Americans say they plan to buy in 2024, and 12% is huge. Like, unrealistically huge. If 12% of Americans bought homes this year, it would be the biggest year for home sales. So that's not likely. But what that does say is people are feeling better about their chances this coming year than they did perhaps at the end of last year.
So I think it used to be, this like sign of success or the sign of being an adult that you grow up and you buy a house one day. I think attitudes, it seems, right, are changing towards that. This data shows, according to the latest survey, 64% of Americans now say that buying a home is not the measure of achievement specifically that it once was. What do you make of that? And why do you think it is that either people are put off, maybe, of course, it's difficult, as we just established, in terms of what it costs, but also why maybe it doesn't matter as much to people anymore?
Yeah, that's a good point. And that number has actually been increasing, the share of Americans who say that it's not the measure of achievement. We've seen that grown over the past few years, and it's grown particularly among younger generations. They're the most likely to be first-time home buyers in this market, and to look out around you and see unaffordable not only home prices, but high mortgage rates making your monthly payments out of reach, you start to question, what does it mean to own a home? Is this really important to me, or am I just doing it because I feel like it has to be that next step? And we did find that many renters are embarrassed to admit they rent instead of own their home. But renting can be a perfectly logical decision, and in many cases, a savvy decision. If you value the flexibility, if you don't want to worry about the costs and the upkeep of home ownership, renting is a purely rational choice.
Yeah, it's definitely true, especially in a city like New York. I know that well. What tips do you have for consumers who are still holding out hope that they can buy a home this year?
I would say first, get realistic about what you're going to encounter. While we have seen mortgage rates come down slightly, and they may tick down a little more throughout the year, home prices are going to stay high. That's because the supply of homes, the number of homes available for sale, is going to stay low. So it's going to be a rough go out there again this year, even if those monthly payments are a little bit more affordable than last year. If I have another tip for them, it would be to get in contact with a local agent sooner rather than later. The national headlines are important. It's important you listen to what's going on across the country. But to your point, what's happening in New York City is not the same as what's happening here where I am in the middle of Kansas. These smaller housing markets, they all have unique traits, unique things going on with prices and inventory. So contact an agent to find out what's really going on where you're shopping.
Elizabeth Renter, really great information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now let's get you some financial headlines. Layoffs in big tech, they're growing this morning. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us again with more on that. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yes, so eBay will lay off about 9% of its full-time workforce. That's about 1,000 jobs, and scale back contracts with other employees. eBay's CEO says headcount and expenses have outpaced the growth of the business, and the company needs to better organize its teams to be more nimble. He says affected employees will be notified soon. eBay has been under pressure from competition with Amazon, Walmart, and others, as well as emerging Chinese retailers such as Temu and Shein. Higher interest rates and inflation have also weighed on consumer spending. Just 44% of Americans say they can afford a $1,000 emergency expense. A new report from Bankrate finds more than a third of people say they would borrow the money in some form to pay for emergencies. This includes financing it with a credit card and paying it off over time, cutting spending on other things, borrowing from friends or family, or taking out a personal loan. Nearly 2/3 of Americans are worried about their ability to pay for immediate living expenses should they lose a primary source of income. And Microsoft is forming a team to build smaller and cheaper AI models. The information reports the new generative AI team will focus on smaller language models similar to OpenAI's GPT-4, but which use less computing power. Microsoft spent hundreds of millions of dollars on chips for just one supercomputer to run AI models, so any potential savings would help, Savannah.
Wow, what a price tag. All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Well, this morning, fans of the movie Barbie are slamming the Academy of Motion Pictures for not nominating the film's star Margot Robbie or its director Greta Gerwig for an Oscar. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas has reaction from fans as well as two of the film's co-stars.
Hey there, it's the Oscar surprise that has Barbie fans in shock. And now Ryan Gosling, one of the film's only nominees, is speaking out about the main women behind the box office juggernaut who've been iced out.
Hi, Barbie! Barbie may have broken the box office.
We should stop by.
Becoming the highest grossing film by a female director in history. But to the surprise of co-stars and fans, it wasn't enough for the film's star Margot Robbie or its director Greta Gerwig to get an Oscar nomination. While the film did receive 8 nods, including Best Picture,
there is no just Ken.
Ryan Gosling, who was nominated for his role as Ken, spoke out about the snubs, writing, "There is no Ken without Barbie, and there is no Barbie movie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. To say that I am disappointed that they are not nominated in their respective categories would be an understatement." Co-star America Ferrera, who clinched her first Oscar nomination, telling Entertainment Weekly she is sad and disappointed about the women being overlooked, adding they deserve to be acknowledged for the history they made, for the ground they broke, for the beautiful artistry. On social media,
this is like one of the biggest snub Oscar lineups I think I've ever seen.
Fans were fuming.
How did Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie not get nominated for an Oscars?
One posting, "Ken getting nominated and not Barbie is honestly so fitting for a film about a man discovering the power of patriarchy in the real world."
Unfortunately, I wasn't too surprised because the Oscars have a pattern of snubbing comedies, and they also have a pattern of snubbing movies directed by women.
Congratulations to those men.
In 2020, the Academy received criticism after all of the nominees for Best Director were men. That same year, Cynthia Erivo was the only person of color nominated in any of the acting categories. And who could forget the Oscars So White hashtag that went viral in 2015 after no actors of color were nominated. While past efforts have been made to increase diversity among its voting body, the Academy now finding itself back in the spotlight after the women behind Barbie are boxed out of some of the top prizes.
We should mention that NBC News has reached out to Robbie and Gerwig for comment and have not yet heard back. Back to you.
All right, Chloe, thank you so much. Certainly a talker. Coming up all by myself after the break, solo travel is having a moment of its own in 2024. When more of us are leaving behind friends, family, even partners to head out on that next adventure. We'll tell you all about it and what to know if you want to try it for yourself. That's up next. Finally, this hour, we're going on vacation, but with a twist. We've been keeping you up to date on all those cheap post-pandemic flight prices, telling you maybe you should think about booking spring break. Many Americans are now planning big bucket list adventures, but some travelers are leaving behind their family, friends, even their spouses. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa is here on set to tell us more about this booming business of solo vacations. I am skeptical. Emily, good morning. Tell us about this.
Hey there, Savannah. Well, a lot of people are leaning into the trend. Booking.com says 70% of travelers in the U.S. are looking to venture alone this year. Some say flying solo provides more flexibility, boosts self-confidence, and could even be the secret to a happy marriage. Whether you're dreaming of sunbathing on Hawaii's shoreline or cruising through Alaska, 2024 is set to be a banner year for travel. But rather than jet-setting alongside family and friends,
I want to go someplace where I can marvel at something.
Surveys show a growing number are traveling eat, pray, love style and booking a ticket for one. Hashtag solo travel has exploded to 7.6 billion views on TikTok.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but book the solo trip.
And the trend is especially evident among retired couples. The Wall Street Journal reporting in 2023, people 55 and over traveled without their significant other 46% more than people in that age group did the year before.
With this group in particular, they have the resources and the time to prioritize different types of trips and what they're interested in.
Lisa Searing loves traveling with her husband, but chose to celebrate her 60th birthday in France alone.
When you travel solo, you're fully present in the experience. It's just you and the people around you, the smells, the languages, everything.
Do you feel like it, in a way, benefits your relationship?
Yes, it does. It's so meaningful because you want to see your partner happy.
A trend the hospitality industry is leaning into. Cruise lines are adding more single passenger rooms, and travel platforms are offering solo luxury packages, especially catered towards women. From Backroads Women's Adventures to Insight Vacations Wander Women. If you're flying solo, some travel experts recommend Beaver Creek, Colorado for its year-round outdoor activities, and Santa Fe, New Mexico for endless sunshine and a unique art scene. Outside of the U.S., Norway is a nature lover's paradise and known for friendly locals, and the Cayman Islands is considered the culinary capital of the Caribbean. Searing has her sights set on Bali.
Everybody should try it once. Break through that resistance.
Okay, so I'm just gonna start by saying I am so happy for her and that like she loves it. I don't know if I could do this. Could you?
I go back and forth. I kind of feel like this job kind of gives me a taste of it as we travel so much, and we're both newly married, so we're enjoying that that time. But I do get it. Like I understand it's like a different kind of trip when you're alone with your thoughts and you really I think are more observant. So I think it's a different kind of travel. And people are interested in that.
I'm just kind of thinking it's not cheap to go to some of these like bucket list places as we saw there. Yeah. And you also can't get that much time off from work and stuff. Like, how many trips are you taking?
So it's a balance.
Are they all solo? Don't you ever want to go anywhere, with your partner throughout that year? If somebody is interested in trying this, being alone obviously has its own safety concerns. What should people keep in mind?
Well, I think first and foremost, you don't need to, for your first solo trip, go to 2 weeks backpacking through the Amazon. Let's start small.
Great point.
And so you maybe consider like a long weekend in the U.S. or something along those lines. You want to share your itinerary with family and friends, stay connected. Of course, do your research, look into the safety of different neighborhoods that you're going to be exploring. And then this is a unique one. Schedule your arrival during daylight. So your first introduction to the area is during safer hours.
It is so true. When you're like getting in a cab and it's dark out and you don't know where you're headed, it's a little bit more concerning. Yeah. Emily, very interesting. Thank you very much. Great to have you here. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.